Hey everyone, it's Braulio Rosa with the Broward Bar Buzz. Today I'm here with Lance Randall of LRI Process Server, a longtime supporter of the BCBA, at least a decade. I've known Lance, and he also now is a super successful realtor, which we'll talk a little bit about that. Welcome, Lance.
Hey Braulio, thanks for having me here today.
My pleasure.
It's an honor to be a sponsor of the Broward Bar. It's been 12 years, I think. Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun.
We have. We actually have.
Yeah.
And
we've done some educational things as well. You've allowed me to do some CLEs, and I just had the pleasure of working with the BizLit section of the Florida Bar. They have a Chapter 48 task force and a legislative committee. So we worked on them with House Bill 157, Senate Bill 526.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, they had a bill that passed back in 2022, which was fantastic, but it had a couple of glitches, and it was causing a lot of confusion and some motions to quash. So this new bill was they called it the glitch bill to fix what had happened.
So what had happened? Be specific.
Well, what was happening is that some language that passed caused some confusion as to whether or not the new rules or statutes went retroactive to prior to that case filing or prior to that service of process happening, which we don't really know how it ended up going down that road, because until you have service of process, you don't have jurisdiction over the defendant. So how can you have a policy that takes effect prior to binding jurisdiction over your defendant?
Okay.
So that's what was happening. So they allowed me to work with them on cleaning up some language that helped them reverse that. And they also were very cooperative as far as they listened to the process servers' needs. I represent the Florida Association of Professional Process Servers as their legislative chairman. And so we got to incorporate some things that we needed, such as the expansion of the mandatory registered agent hours.
Why is a processing service important to a lawyer?
Well, your case can't go forward until you bind jurisdiction on your defendant. Remember, every citizen of the United States has a constitutional right to due process. That's very big in the media right now, due process, right? So due process basically means you have a right to know you're being sued, and you have an opportunity to respond to that claim before the case can move forward.
And you kind of touched on it already, but for the laypersons out there, non-lawyers that may be watching this, what exactly is that process? What does it mean when you serve someone? What are you actually doing?
Well, we often make the joke, we're playing a giant game of hide and go seek. There's no boundaries, and there's pretty much very little rules. The defendant does not have to cooperate. I mean, they have a fiduciary responsibility not to frustrate the process server and to accept service, because think about it, we're affording you your right to due process.
I mean, I see in the movies, and not recently, but I remember in some of the old movies, people know they're going to be served, and they're not answering the door. They're dressing up they're wearing costumes to hide themselves. And so the process server does the same thing, right? And shows up somewhere last minute where person may least expect it and says, "Here you go, you've been served."
That's right.
Have you ever done any of that?
I have never said you've been served. I think that's completely inappropriate. We want to be compassionate. You don't know what's going on in a person's world at that time. And not every lawsuit is bad. I mean, you have people that are getting served in foreclosure notices. They're lien holders, they're second mortgages, they're private lenders. A private owner may have sold a house and took back a second mortgage because the buyer didn't have enough money for down payment. Well, now that person's being served to let them know that the primary mortgage is foreclosing. So did that person do anything wrong?
No.
Right?
No, but you see it in the movies where the guy's he may be getting a massage or something, it goes in, or the woman's getting her nails done or something, and it's actually the tech that is the server, the process server, and they start and they're like, "Oh, here, hold this for me," and then the person grabs it and said, "Okay, you've been served," because they don't want to take anything from any foreign hand, someone that they've never met. So just,
In
combination.
Florida, a process server is not allowed to serve process under false pretenses. Okay. We must inform the person of the contents of the documents. Okay, we can't practice law, we can't tell them how to respond, but we do have to let them know the case style, which is who's suing who, why they're involved, and how much time they have to respond to that complaint. Okay. We have to do that.
Once they've been served, now there's a court order of some sort where they have to respond.
And the key is, a lot of people think they have to take the papers out of the process server's hand. They don't. The process server has to explain the contents to you. You have two options. You can take the papers, or you can bend over and pick them up off the ground. Either way, we have to leave them. We don't get to make the decision on whether we serve you or whether we don't serve you.
Once you've made contact.
Once we've made contact with you, we have to serve you, whether you want it or not.
So you could take it or you could put it at their feet.
Correct.
And that technically counts as being
served.
You've served them.
That's correct. Okay. And for those people that are out there hiding, this lawsuit will go on, with or without you. Yes, the process server is the first step, first cog in this wheel, if you will, right? But once the process server makes a diligent effort to locate you and does a skip trace and does research, and if you're hiding and we know you're hiding, or we can't find you or any person that we can serve to where that service would bind, we're going to do an affidavit of diligent search, and we're going to detail everything we did: driver's license, motor vehicles, property records, insurance, anything that's public record that we have access to, because process servers and private investigators have access to things that the layperson doesn't have. But once we do our affidavit and we show the judge, look, Your Honor, this is everything we tried to do, that attorney can serve the Secretary of State. They can publish in the newspaper. They can proceed with that case depending on what type of action it is in a various different ways. And then that's how people end up 15 years down the road. They go to sell their house. There's a lien against the house. That's homestead property, so they could never collect on that lien, but now you're selling it. Guess who gets paid at closing before you do, right? Or my favorite is personal injury lawsuits, car accident claims.
Okay.
If there's a recorded judgment against you, and at the time you may be judgment proof, right? For whatever reason, you're uncollectible at that time. Well, now you get into a car accident and you all of a sudden get $1 million judgment. Guess who gets paid?
Right. Okay.
So you're not hiding it. Avoiding service is not the best cause of action. Besides, I don't know, maybe I'm just too much of a common sense type of guy. Wouldn't you want to know that someone's suing you?
Of course.
Wouldn't you want to have an opportunity to review the claim and defend yourself?
Absolutely.
So don't avoid the process server.
and the reason the lawyers would hire you generally is because this person maybe is not as easily accessible or findable generally, right? Because if they have an address, they'll just send them the information or the
you have to have it served.
So you have to go through you. Okay.
Service of process must be made by the sheriff or someone appointed by the sheriff or the chief judge. Has to be a non-interested third party.
Okay.
The lawyer can't serve the paper themselves. They can't have their paralegal go out and serving papers after hours.
So they would send it. So what's the process? So the lawyer gets this and wants to have this served. He or she will go to the sheriff first, or they could just hire you directly?
Just hire us directly. Okay. Lawyer will file the action with the courthouse. Mm-hmm. Clerk of the court will issue back to them a summons, either a pretrial or a 20-day summons. The lawyer will deliver that, or usually in today's world, everything's electronic.
Sure.
So we get the documents emailed to us with instructions, and we go out and we attempt service. If the address is no good, we try and find an address. Once we hit a dead end, we inform the attorney, look, we've done this, that, and the other. And then at that point, we do our affidavit to do a diligent search, and then the attorney takes it back from there.
How does someone get a hold of you if they want to? How does the lawyer get a hold of you for this service?
www.lri.us.
Any emails?
status@lri.us. Incoming work goes to data entry at lri.us. Or, of course, you can always call our office. I'm a strong believer of a live operator. Our staff answers the phones. We're at 954-944-3900. Or you can look us up on the Broward County Bar website because we're an annual sponsor.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.